Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's 8-game slate, an 8-game slate that has already had plenty of injury information. To dissect it with me, as always, is Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you on this Tuesday?
Very sad. Jalen Williams going down has ended me. So I'm dealing with it. Be okay. But yeah, this is just. I said yesterday, like, hey, we're gonna separate the men from the boys and breaking down injury analysis, and we are so down. We are going to be talking Buddy Boeheim, and Jared Roden, and these people that probably 99% of NBA fans have no idea about, but we're giving them like double-digit minutes today. It's completely nuts.
Yeah, this is my least favorite time of the NBA season. Is this season, but we march on. We're gonna go game by game today because there's just a lot of stuff to cover. Let's start with Milwaukee and Orlando. On the Milwaukee side, Giannis and Drew Holiday started the day with probable and questionable tags, respectively. They have now gone to out and out tags, respectively. So they will be out. Goran Dragic, the new signing, is out with knee soreness, and Wesley Matthews remains out. What are your expectations for what we see from Milwaukee tonight? Do we finally see Chris Middleton carry kind of a full workload?
No, I don't think we do. They seem pretty tight on his minutes. Maybe he gets 26, 27. Still expecting a starting lineup of Javon Carter, who played great over the weekend. Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, and Brooke Lopez. AJ Green, backup point guard. Seeing a little bit of Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles played in a back-to-back set. They wanted to hold him out, and Ingles said, like, no, I want to play. And he plays 26 minutes. They need the ball handling here. AJ Green, a point guard, but really used off ball. So I think Ingles could have a pretty sneaky ball handling role in that second unit as he shares the role a little bit with Javon Carter. And then, we'll see what Crowder's minutes get to. I think we got him at 20. So he'll be in the rotation. And then, maybe some bits and pieces for Myers Leonard, Marshawn Beauchamp, who was, should be back from the G League today. But good, pretty good Javon Carter spot coming off a strong game. I actually picked him up in my season-long league. I ran to pick him up on a hike. So he's a guy I think I'm going to be into later when we talk DFS.
Yeah, and if Chris Middleton's minutes are managed and he's not in that starting lineup, that should leave a lot of usage in that first unit available for Bobby Portis and Brooke Lopez as well. So those are guys that will benefit strongly as well. We'll cover all the DFS intrigues later at 5 o'clock beyond the paywall. Injury side for Orlando, Wendell Carter Jr. and Gary Harris, both listed questionable. They're without Jonathan Isaac for the rest of the season. Admiral Schofield ruled out with a concussion as well. Wendell Carter Jr. missed last game, was a late scratch last game. Mo Wagner got the start, played 33 minutes. They did not play a lot of Goga Batadze. They didn't go to Goga Batadze until Admiral Schofield had left the game with a concussion as well. So a little bit telling there that they didn't use Okeke above Schofield, a little telling that they used Schofield above Batadze at first. What are your expectations for if we see Wendell Carter Jr. and Gary Harris tonight?
Yeah, don't have a great read. Certainly, we talk about Gary Harris soft tissue injuries a lot, so I think there's a pretty decent chance he sits. And we saw it, Jalen Suggs just run away with the minutes. We've seen Gary Harris start and not play a lot, and they basically just added his minutes on to Suggs' role in that first unit, so that would make him a pretty viable player. Obviously, Milwaukee's defense is not going to be as good with taking away their best perimeter defender in Jrue Holiday and an elite help defender and on-ball defender in Giannis as well. So those guys would be certainly viable. Pretty straightforward on Wendell Carter Jr. Mo Wagner would be stepping into a really tough matchup, but 33 minutes as a starting center will certainly have your attention. Don't have a great read on that situation though, but it is the first game of the day, so we will have it when we make our lineups.
Let's move to Washington and Detroit. And Detroit was the one that hit us with news shortly before going on the air here. They're going to be without a lot of guys tonight. No Bojan Bogdanovic, no Alec Burks, no Hamidou Diallo, no Killian Hayes. And then, of course, no Cade Cunningham, no Jalen Duren, no Isaiah Stewart. So that's 7 players that I think would normally be a part of their rotation, which means we're going to get weird. So what are your expectations for Detroit, who's on the second night of a back-to-back here? From a playing time expectation and starters.
All right, so I think I know the starters here. We're going to get Jaden Ivey coming off a pretty strong game. Career high 13 assists. I mentioned that yesterday that he was looking at a pretty big ball handling role, and he comes through there. So we'll see, the double big lineup again. I think with Marvin Bagley, James Weissman, and then Isaiah Livers coming off a fantastic game, 17-pointer. He was their. Dwayne Casey said he's their best 3-point shooter right now. So, not the best matchup for 3-pointers, but I think Isaiah Livers, he might play a silly amount of minutes today. They are getting Rodney McGruder back, and I would expect him to start. Filling the Hamidou Diallo minutes are going to be really tough. They do have Corey Joseph. We'll see a little bit more Rodin, who's like a 3-4. Omiyuri could pick up some more minutes. I think Buddy Boeheim's going to be in the rotation today because they're replacing Alec Burks. But yeah, pretty gross. Hat tip to the tanking here. But expecting a better game from Marvin Bagley. We love playing front court guys against the Wizards here. We'll talk about their injuries in a second, but yeah, this is going to be the value spot in a matchup that I think that they could maybe score a little bit meaning like maybe they score 100. But yeah, so just the headline would be I like Ivy a lot. I like Livers a lot. I think the front court guys are in play. It's nice seeing Weissman not being listed after being game time and fouling out. Played okay in 24 minutes, but yeah, this is the gross team of the day for sure.
Despite having 7 players out, they still do have 10 bodies, if I'm counting correctly. So it's not quite the desperation situation where you're seeing tons of minutes. And I would note that a little bit telling to me that guys like Omiyori and Rodin did not play a lot last night. I would expect minutes to be a little bit flatter than how condensed they were last night on the second night of a back-to-back. Still think there'll be a good ceiling for Bagley, Livers, Ivy, Weissman, and those guys. But I don't think we'll see 39 minutes from Livers tonight would be my guess. I think things will be a little bit more spread out tonight. Any inclination on that?
I think he's going to play a lot. Just the fact that they have no other really good shooter on this team, and he's one of their best on-ball defenders. He picked up the Dame assignment a bunch yesterday, and I think they want to play him a lot. So I feel pretty good about him playing. Ryan's doing the minutes right now, but if I'm doing Livers, I'd put him like probably 34. I think he's going to play.
Yeah. I think he's going to play a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think we're going to see 39 from 39 from Livers and 3 from Omiyori tonight. Like I don't think last night they basically ran an 8.5 man rotation. I think it's going to be 9.5, 10. Like I think on the second night of back-to-back, we'll just be more conservative.
We're definitely going to give all those guys minutes for sure. But I think he could hit it, but we're not going to project him for that.
Yeah. Washington side of things, Kyle Kuzma is questionable, as is Monty Morris. We got the note from Underdog earlier in the day that Monty Morris is unlikely to play tonight. So it sounds like questionable, more doubtful for Monty Morris. Kyle Kuzma, right knee soreness. He missed the last game for this, played very poorly in the game before. So I think this is like a legitimate injury issue that he's dealing with. Do you have any read on Kyle Kuzma's availability tonight?
I don't. One thing I do want to mention though, he got hurt a couple weeks ago, and I was really in on him like sitting another game, and we made it a little bit closer. And he said after the game, like, "Hey, I'm really glad I took an extra game off. Came back, had a huge game, returning from injury. So I would lean out. We're going to be projecting him in, but obviously if he sits, that would open up a little bit of value. Presumably to Denny Avdia, somewhat surprisingly, coming off the bench. I guess that was a pure matchup thing against the Bucks, but yeah, it would be Denny Avdia, and obviously the easy part here is DeLon Wright gets to start. There's really no reason to play Monty at a less than 100% in a back-to-back here. And they have a more important game tomorrow. Against the Hawks, who are also vying for that play after the Hawks dropped 2 against Miami.
Yeah, the front end of a back-to-back is worth mentioning. Charlotte and the Knicks. No new information for Charlotte. Still without LaMelo, who's lost for the year. James Bouknight on G League assignment, as is Teo Maledon. Cody Martin out as well. PJ Washington not on the injury report tonight. Any notes you want to leave on the Charlotte side of things?
No, PJ, returned and looked pretty good overall. We've seen him play kind of outrageous minutes at times. We've seen him hit like upper 30s. So, we'll see how that shakes out. Obviously, that pushes JT Thor way down, but he played 36 minutes over the weekend. Didn't have a great game, but just the minute total is pretty encouraging for a team that's pretty thin as far as like NBA caliber talent. They seem to like PJ Washington quite a bit.
Yeah. Knicks side of that game, Jalen Brunson questionable. He missed the last game. Knicks kept their winning streak alive with the double OT thriller win in Boston. Softer spot tonight. Their next game is Thursday in Sacramento. They start a West Coast road trip. So softer spot tonight makes me think they could take it easy on Jalen Brunson, but they also just played Emmanuel quickly 55 minutes. So what are your thoughts on Brunson's availability tonight?
Unclear. It seemed like he was kind of close, so I think he'll probably have a good chance to back. He's a guy usually over the years has played through a lot of tags, so I think he'd be back. Maybe they don't play him. I guess at Emmanuel Quickly's minutes, 55 minutes, but I think he's got a pretty good chance to play. Not a back-to-back game either. So obviously, if he's out, it's Emmanuel Quickly's music and like one of the best matchups you could ask for how he likes to play. So. We'd be talking about him quite a bit in his, maybe he moves back up to minus 220 in the 6-man market again.
Yeah, I mean everybody in this game. We know the Knicks play tight. We know it's not the front end of a back-to-back. We know with Jalen Brunson out last game, they basically played. I mean, it was a 9-man rotation in a kind of theory. Like McBride played 8 minutes, was terrible, and then they went away from him. So against Charlotte, this could be a really big DFS spot if Jalen Brunson is unable to go. Let's
it
move
basically
over
was a 5-man rotation down the stretch. I mean, they were just
Yeah.
playing their starters and then Hart for Grimes like a ton.
Yeah. Let's go to Minnesota and Philadelphia. On the Minnesota side of things, Austin Rivers probable there. I don't think there's anything we really need to cover. Jalen Noel still out, as is Karl Anthony Towns. On the Philadelphia side, though, they are on the second night of a back-to-back. PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris missed yesterday. They were questionable yesterday. You alluded to on this show yesterday that Doc Rivers had said it was unlikely that they would play. That came to fruition. James Harden added to the injury report today, questionable with left foot soreness. Any read here on the Philadelphia Q tags?
No mention from Doc about the Harden thing. Just talked about how great he was with the passing and obviously the 20 assists, et cetera, et cetera. But no Embiid questionable tag was stunning. The books were certainly expecting it. They only lined Embiid. And I hit a points, rebounds, assist with a little bit of Harden equity. I thought we were kind of aligned similarly. But don't have a great read on the situation. Regards to Harden, I think Tucker is somewhat significantly more unlikely than Tobias is. I'm dealing with back spasms, and Doc had some quotes saying how much he was dealing with pain after the game over the weekend. So I would still lean Tucker out, and I don't feel quite as strongly today about Tobias. Getting a Q tag is a very Philly move to make. So if Harden's out, we have so many iterations here, right? Like with how many 2 of the 3. But if I had to prioritize who's going to start after Embiid, Maxey Melton for sure. McDaniels earned it. I think he'd be next in if they need another spot. He was, much to our dismay, he killed it. Open floor game was just on fire. He was just running out all day on the buckets there. But yeah, those guys would probably get the start. If they're missing everybody, then probably House. I think if they're missing all 3 starters there, so a starting lineup of Maxey Melton, McDaniels, House, Embiid. I think that's how it will go. But, you would assume one of those 3 guys are in.
I do wonder if they use this time to get a little sampling of McDaniels with the starters and then make some decisions that set them up a little bit better for the playoffs. So I kind of think that they should be using Tucker very, very matchup specifically in terms of the way that they use him, and I would be really prioritizing Tucker's health and energy in advance of those matchups, meaning I wouldn't mind if I was Philadelphia starting Jalen McDaniels in the first round of the playoffs, and then in the second round having Tucker fully ready to go and take on whatever workload he needs against a Giannis or a Jason Tatum type situation. All right, let's move to Brooklyn and Houston. Nothing new on Brooklyn side of things. Ben Simmons still out there. Nothing really new on the Houston side of things. No tags for Kevin Porter Jr. or Jalen Green. Anyone of importance there. Just their G League guys are out. Any quick notes you want to leave on Brooklyn or Houston?
Just with Brooklyn again, this has really been a big talking point, and Vaughn's going to play his dudes, man. He wants to play his guys a ton of minutes. We've seen elevated minutes from Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian a little bit. Claxton. Those guys are locked and loaded. He said after the game he's going to continue to play his starters, give him as much time to gel chemistry wise. So, we love this matchup, and we love it for guards. We're going to see Kevin Porter Jr. pick up Spencer Dinwiddie. I would expect Jalen Green to guard Cam Johnson, and then KJ Martin picking up the Mikal Bridges assignment, all of which are very, very favorable matchups. So we're going to be talking Nets in a few hours here for sure.
All right, let's move to Golden State and Oklahoma City. On the Golden State side of things, Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala both listed probable. Steph Curry not listed on the injury report. Andrew Wiggins still out, away from the team for personal reasons. Any notes you want to leave on the Golden State side? Steph Curry minutes restrictions. Like, comes out, plays 32 in the first game. That seems fairly full to me. Any other notes you want to leave on Golden State before we unfortunately get to OKC?
Yeah, just keep an eye on Draymond's hand. Didn't really seem to affect him playing time, shooting wise. Shot a bunch overall. So he's not a guy who really needs to use that left hand much. Anyways, he's getting like free shots at the basket most of the time. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Probably expecting Curry to play a little bit more. I mean, this is as much as Jalen Williams being out sucks. I mean, this team needs a win, man. Like the fact that they laid such an egg. Their road woes are such a concern. So I think Steph plays a bunch. I'm not worried about the Dort matchup. Definitely someone I'll be talking about on DFS show.
All right, on the OKC side, Alexei Pokusevski was recalled, but he is still listed out. Kenrich Williams has been deemed out for the season. And of course, Jalen Williams out with the right wrist sprain. Who fills the role for J-Dub in this matchup against the Warriors?
So I pride myself on my OKC takes, right? You'd say I'm the OKC whisperer, right?
Yeah.
I have no damn clue how they fill this role. There are legit like 8 starting players that I would consider. We're thinking Aaron Wiggins. You want a little more on-ball pressure, a little bit more switch flexibility with the way the Warriors are going to recover. So I would lean that way, meaning a starting lineup that's pretty small for them. You're basically playing Giddey as functionally as a 4. So it would be SGA, Dort, Giddey, and then Wiggins, and then Jay Will, aka Len Williams, as you say. But I mean, it could be Isaiah Joe, it could be Usman Jang, it could be Jeremiah Robinson Earl, it could be Butler. They could pull him out. I mean, I have no clue on who they start here. So our projections are hedge fest right now. We'll be adjusting as we get more news, but legit no clue who this fit. And I think I've said that maybe once all season. This time, like right now. But yeah, I don't have a great read on, but I would lean Wiggins for me pick.
Yeah, Wiggins, Joe, and Jang feel like the most likely to me in that order. But we will see. Yep. As always, 8:00 Eastern game tonight. So we'll have that afterlock in terms of the starting lineup, which will make talking through OKC challenging tonight. Let's move to Utah and Dallas. On the Dallas side of things, Maxi Kleber questionable right hamstring issue. JaVale McGee listed doubtful with the right ankle sprain. Any read on Kleber, who had just come back from injury? It's really disappointing to see him back on the injury report so soon.
Yeah, I mean, they needed him in the game against the Suns, man. I mean, I literally like bet the Suns when that news hit because I thought that was a big piece. Back-to-back, real important note here for a guy returning from a tear of his hamstring. I believe McMahon of ESPN said it was on the tendon, so a little bit different. But yeah, they play New Orleans from a national TV game, so I think he's got a pretty good chance to sit. I'd rather honestly have him there, even with the Laurie stuff. But I'd rather give him the day off. So I think he would sit. That would mean a little bit more minutes for the Josh Greens of the world. Dwight Powell's minutes would have a little bit more of a floor. Reggie Bullock will play a bunch, etc. So also helps Christian Wood's minutes come somewhat significantly too, and a good matchup for him as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say this feels like a little bit of a Christian Wood spot, just in the sense that Utah's been vulnerable around the rim all year long. We'll talk about Utah's injuries in a second here, but they could be getting more vulnerable around the rim. If they're down Maxi Kleber, there's more big minutes to fill. Front end of a back-to-back on a guy that they've really managed. Why not kind of let him go and carry a little bit more offensive load potentially? Utah side of things, Lauri Markkanen not listed on the injury report. Jordan Clarkson not listed on the injury report. That's the good news. The bad news, Walker Kessler, Blocker Kessler, as you like to call him, listed as questionable with non-COVID illness, the dreaded Q illness tag for the first time. Justin Vance talked about this a lot. These generally result in misses. What is your expectation for Walker Kessler tonight? And if he does miss, how will those minutes be filled?
You just laid it out. These illnesses are pretty tough tags. I would expect them to go small. I would expect a Kelly O at the 5, Lauri Markkanen at the 4, and then Ochai Agbaji, who's been slotting at the 2, slotting at the 3, slotting in wherever they need to slot him in. he would slide into 3. So I'd expect him to start, play good minutes. He's really one of their second best young piece that they have on their team. So I'd expect him to continue to get the start. Should mention Jordan Clarkson coming off a career high assist game. He still has pain on his pad of his thumb from the thumb injury he just returned from. He wouldn't say if it was affecting how he was making decisions and so on and so forth, but something to watch, with the way Clarkson dictated his passing. But, Olynyk would benefit in a big way, obviously, if he's playing straight center without the double big lineup. We'd be talking about him and, a lot of small ball stuff coming the other way, especially if Kleber sits.
Last game of the slate, Memphis and the Lakers. We'll start on the Lakers side. Mo Bamba listed out. D'Angelo Russell, questionable tonight. He's missed the last few games. Anthony Davis listed probable. What are your thoughts on the availability for D'Angelo Russell? And if he is available, how would that shake things up with the Lakers starting lineup?
Yeah, sounds like he's got a pretty decent chance to return. So that would be bumping out Dennis Schroeder, who's picked up a ridiculously big role. He'd be moving back to the bench. So a starting lineup of D'Lo, Beasley, Troy Brown, who plays 41 minutes, picked up the Klay Thompson assignment and played pretty well overall, in my opinion. Then you got Vanderbilt and obviously AD. AD playing pain-free now. We've seen it on the stat sheet. He is putting up numbers. Matchups tough. Maybe we'll see how this is affected without Steven Adams, who I should mention is going through 5-on-5 and is getting very close. They need it really bad. But pretty good spot, despite the projections systems and, intuition saying, against the Grizzlies, don't play a big, but I think AD could produce overall, but and usage rate could be down a little bit with D'Lo being back, but I feel pretty good there. We'll see how this affects Austin Reeves, who's been playing, pretty close to 30 minutes consistently, is really their main 6-man option. I think he can still find a role. They, would probably cut Lonnie Walker out. We saw Lonnie Walker basically out of the rotation when D'Lo was healthy earlier. And then Bamba is straightforward, like they'll set Wendy Gabriel sub in for the non-80 minutes.
Man, Troy Brown Jr. makes me reminisce. Whenever you and I have been Troy Brown Jr. believers, it's been a rough road the last few years. I was excited when the Bulls picked him up last year. I thought he's still so young is one of the things. I thought the Lakers taking a flyer on him was good because I'm still a truther on Troy Brown Jr. So nice to see a little bit of Bubble Troy return, because Bubble Troy.
That was like you. That was like when you and I went on a first date. We would like talk about Troy Brown when we were just starting the early days of ETR. So shout out to Troy Brown.
Bubble Troy. Let's move to Memphis, where you mentioned Steven Adams is listed out tonight. Brandon Clark lost for the season. John Morant away from the team. Jake LaRavia listed questionable with back soreness as well. We saw David Roddy start last game a little bit surprisingly to all of us. We thought maybe Conchar, maybe Luke Kennard. I thought even Zaire Williams I would have picked ahead of David Roddy as a potential starter because we've seen him get into the mix in these situations without Dillon Brooks. They have Dillon Brooks back. He's no longer suspended. So how does that impact things for the Grizzlies tonight?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. He'll be cut down. They don't really like Zaire anymore. I think they've given Zaire like all the chances, and he's just missed too many shots for them. And his defense has been like really late, and I think he's pushed down. So we're seeing the Santi Aldama, 4-5 combo running next to Jaren, running next to Xavier Tillman. Xavier Tillman's minutes are really safe here, and they're going to need him a lot in this matchup against Anthony Davis. We've seen his play a bunch against Embiid, play a bunch against Jokic a couple times, et cetera, et cetera. So would be, plenty of minutes for Xavier Tillman, and I think the matchup's okay. Tyus Jones, pick and roll fest. We saw him drop 20 in the third quarter in this game. Definitely huge role here. They don't have really anybody that they trust to be like a true classic point guard, which is basically Bane's role in the second unit. So Luke Kennard also benefited in a big way. Need some shooting here. So those guys all really benefit. I think Conchar maybe gets cut a little bit, but they clearly trust him and want him in that secondary wing role off the bench.
Do you think Roddy goes away almost entirely with Dillon Brooks back, or do you think?
No, I think he'd probably be slotted into the that 9th man-ish role, maybe 10th if they go full and they don't cut Zaire out. But the minutes are going to be gone. Like he won't play more. I haven't looked at minutes. I'd probably put him like 13 or something.
Luke Kennard, the favorite to lead the bench unit in minutes, is your guess, and what would you say the high end of a bench minutes? Because I think the Grizzlies are really going to lean on their starters as much as they can with the depth issues they're having here. What do you think the high end for a bench minutes leader would be for the Grizzlies tonight?
He'd get all the non-Banes, so that's 17, 18 right there, and then maybe 5, 6, 7 more, so probably 23.
I was thinking 25. I was thinking 25 is like the high end of like if things go well, a bench player could run up to
Yeah.
25. But I think generally you're going to see these mid to upper 30s on the Grizzlies guys, which is a team that in the past we've talked about wanting to play 10, wanting to spread it out. I just don't think they have the depth to be able to do that with the guys that they're relying on in the second unit right now. So, okay. Any other injury information break while we were on? We've gotten in before the 2:30. So anything else that I missed that we need to cover?
I don't think so. But it's surprising. It was kind of a little run up here, but
I know.
this is gonna be nuts, man. If it's gonna be like this for the next month, we're in for a ride.
We are in for a ride. That's the end of the NBA season. Since it is approaching 2:30, that means it's time to promote our good friends at Underdog, because around 2:30 they will be updating you with tweet notifications on what the latest news and injury information is. But we're here to talk about their game. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money running edition, many formats of NFL contests still running for huge prizes. In addition, they released the NBA playoff contest, which I know our guy Chris Lafakis is already hard at work trying to start the early process of our rankings for, which we will eventually have for subscribers as well. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em games. And if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code, get that $100 match deposit bonus, and start firing in to the dance. 100K to first. Fun game for the playoffs. We'll have content around it as we get our bearings straight on working out the projections for it. As always, myself and Mike Gallagher will be behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern time tonight, talking through the DFS side of the slate, the flag plants, the groups and rules, the contrarian pivots, the good chalk, the bad chalk. We'll have it all at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight behind the paywall at Established Run. Of course, if you are uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we do ask for your hard-earned clicks. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button and help feed that algorithm.
Oh, we got news. Jordan Clarkson questionable now.
I almost got us out of here. Yep. They pulled me back in.
Almost.
Do you want to?
Pretty sure. Well, yeah, Akbaji's going to start for sure if he's out. Then, I don't know who they go after that. I guess. I mean, they might start Johnny Uzang, man. They really talked him up after the game. So, but
could be. They don't have many. They don't have many options. It's nasty.
Or my new nemesis, Chris Dunn. Maybe he starts.
Yeah, I think Dunn might be at the top of the list unless they really wanted to separate the ball handling. But they can play Talen Horton-Tucker off ball too.
Yeah.
That's messy. That's real messy if Jordan Clarkson's unable to go. Okay. All right. Feed the algorithm by smashing that like button. Help us feed our families. We'll continue to feed you the NBA injury information that you need to make your DFS lineups, spread bets, prop bets, so on and so forth. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you tomorrow.